Yo, what's poppin', Logang? Today we're going to be doing another rant. This is my third rant today, so my voice is already fucking shot. Well, not just third rant today, but third rant in the same sitting. And I've been recording for 24 minutes. Some of them took a while. Well, one of them in particular was about Haruhi. Anyway, this rant comes from KD Pack, who says, "Rant about your favorite anime characters. I like Kafka." I could tell you like Kafka, because in case you don't know, his channel profile, I think it's still Kafka. I would imagine it is. Here, let me go onto YouTube and actually check. Although I'm in the car, so my Wi-Fi connection is very bad. Gonna look up the NMA Guru, which is his channel, which you should go check out. It is still Kafka. And I think it's an image of Kafka from the first OP? If I had to guess, I might be wrong on that, but I am fairly sure. Or maybe it was just one of the OPs. Maybe it wasn't the first specifically. I don't know. It looks like it's from the OP. Well, one of the OPs. Zetsubo, all of Zetsubo's OPs are banger, by the way. I'm just gonna get that out of the way. But anyway, we're talking about favorite characters, so I have my AniList profile up right now, and I'm going to explain to you why each of the characters that I have on there are in fact on there. And something I want to do is rewatch all my favorite shows. And because some of the characters on here are from shows that I saw like 3 or 4 years ago, and since then my taste in anime has changed fairly drastically. And so I want to know how those characters stand up over time, you know? How do they hold up? But nonetheless, I will try my best to explain some of the ones that I've kept on there for a while from shows that I've spent a long time not having watched, and hopefully, I'll clarify if it's a show I watched ages ago. So first of all, Seishu Honda, protagonist of Barakamon. He is a struggling artist and probably one of my favorite characters on the list, even though it has been too long since I've seen Barakamon. I need to do a fucking... If I do a review of a show that I think is a 10 out of 10, which I surprisingly have not done yet, it would be Barakamon. Because Barakamon is the story of a struggling artist named Seishu Honda who has a lot of character flaws, right? He is very, very prideful, and he punches a dude in the face because he's like, "Fuck you, you insulted my art, you said it was rote and boring, kill yourself." He did not actually say kill yourself, but it was a very emotionally charged moment in his life. And it's this idea of him learning over time to, first of all, be a less hostile and harsh person, and to open up to people and become less lonely, realize that the people around that interacting with people and taking breaks from art with the people around you and making friends and becoming a more well-rounded person is a part of the artistic process. You know, art comes from the soul. And if you have a very poorly formed, or what's a good metaphor for this? I don't fucking know. Like a bad soul. There we go. We'll just be fucking cheap about it. If your soul is bad, you'll make bad art. Obviously, that's not a one-to-one thing. You know, you can still be a terrible person and make good art, but nonetheless, being in a good standing in life, a more secure one, and being more secure and confident in yourself is a way to make better art. And that's important, not only as an artist, but as a person. And it's him building up to the point where he can apologize for punching a dude in the face, because he knows he was in the wrong, but he doesn't want to apologize. He's very hesitant to apologize about anything at the beginning of the series. And you know, it's about getting him to that point, as well as realizing that his art did have problems with it. He was complacent. He did things, he's a calligraphy artist, for the record, and he was doing things very by the book. But as he goes on, he realizes, hey, you know, my calligraphy is, you know, if I just go wild with it, if I get experimental with it, it ends up being better. But the the process of improving himself, though, is very difficult. He deals with a lot of inability to be satisfied with himself, and he also, he goes through so much work. So many bad pieces of calligraphy get thrown away, just thrown on the ground. He ends up getting hospitalized because he works too hard on it. He's not always secure in his abilities. It's the ultimate artist's story in that regard. I think he is a very, very good character, and all of you should go watch Barakamon right now. Next, we have Miss Kobayashi from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. She starts off as very depressed and isolated, not very talkative, but as she goes on, as she meets Toru and accepts her in her life, she becomes, a more well-rounded and happier person. She also is just a very respectable dude, very chilled out, and, very logical, very pragmatic, not very reactive, and tends to not get emotional, but then, that makes the times when she does fucking lose her shit way more impactful. And she's just overall very respectable while also being simultaneously pathetic. She has a lot of good bits of wisdom to dispense to the world as well. She is very level-headed and very respectable while at the same time being flawed. Next, we have Hifumi Takemoto, and this is one of the characters from a show that I haven't seen in a good long while. It's been how long since I've seen New Game? A long time! But of that show, Hifumi was also my favorite. First of all, because when I was 15, I had a massive crush on her. to be TBH. But secondly, she starts off very shy and socially anxious, and at the time I really connected with that archetype. And so watching her overcome that and become more confident and, take up bigger and bigger roles in the game-making process was very satisfying to see unfold, right? I can't really say too much about her just because it's been so long since I've seen the show. I would really need to I really need to go back and rewatch New Game. I know it's going to be fucking kinography. Next we have Ayumu Kasuga, otherwise known as Osaka from Azumanga Daioh. She is, well, first of all, this is once again a show that I haven't seen in forever. But secondly, she is she's very memeable. She appears a lot in memes, even though it's been a long time since Azumanga Daioh has been truly relevant in the community at large. It's maintained a fairly cult following, people who constantly post about it, because it is, let's be real, an absolute classic. It's often credited for kickstarting the slice of life genre, and of all, well, maybe not slice of life, but specifically the cute girls doing cute things genre is what I meant to say. And of all the characters in that show, Ayumu Kasuga, who everyone just calls Osaka. Okay, so the backstory behind this is her name appears once in the show, but because she's from Osaka and has an Osaka accent, everyone just calls her Osaka, which is hilarious. She is very easy to space out, very unaware. I fucking love her. She's hilarious. Her daydream sections are always a charm. She gets so caught up in her own head that reality just fades around her. She is nothing. The infamous meme where Chiyo's dad, the best character in fiction, he's just this yellow cat who flies around and is solely a figment of Osaka's imagination. He only exists in her head. It is fucking hilarious. Overall, great character. I absolutely love her. I need to rewatch Azumanga Daioh. Next, we have Koyomi Araragi, and I am going very slow through these characters, so I might have to speed it up. But Araragi is the protagonist of Monogatari, Granted, the series does occasionally swap protagonists throughout that series, but of the protagonists, he is probably the best one. Almost certainly the best one, because I do not have any other protagonists on my list. Except, admittedly, my favorite arc in the series, is probably Nadeko Medusa, where Nadeko's the protagonist, but I think Araragi, through all the arcs overall, ends up being a better protagonist, because there's Nisio Isin has a habit of writing characters with so much to them, and when you consider the fact that Monogatari is easily his longest series, you would start to understand how a guy known for writing extremely complex and quirky and fun characters would make the protagonist of this series very fun and quirky. He starts off as a bit of a washout, and he's someone whose catchphrase is friends, like having friends lowers your intensity as a human. And his logic behind that is that if your friends are doing bad, you are doing bad. But if his friends are doing well, because of his petty nature, he's just going to be jealous of them, because he, himself, is not doing well. And God, there's so much to him. I can't go into all of it. But he starts off legitimately suicidal, thinking his life is worth nothing. Well, maybe not actively contemplating suicide, but when offered the ability to kill himself, in order to save this vampire who he has just met, who he knows nothing about other than the fact that she is beautiful, he offers to give up his life. Because to him, it's worth saving this beautiful creature if it means, like, his life is worth less than this vampire simply because she is beautiful. And saving her by killing himself means that he will have done the first worthwhile thing in his life, is how he thinks. And it's a very tragic mindset to have. And so seeing him grow from that and finally learn to accept himself is great. It's very well done. And on that note, I also have Ogi, Ogi Oshino, as another character on my favorites list, who is fucking major Monogatari spoiler, by the way. Ogi basically is Araragi. Ogi is an aberration that represents all of Araragi's self-hatred. And I also, this is a theory I've had for a while, I think Ogi is also a self-insert for Nisio Isin, because the way she manifests is that she's someone who is known for philosophizing. She turns everything into some obscure ideology, and that's very Nisio Isin. That's literally what he does in his books, in a way. You know, I get that feeling, and I'm not the only one who has postulated such. And she invades people's space. She is so aggressive towards Hanakawa in Owari Monogatari. It's always a treat to see. And Hanakawa very quickly figures out that something is amiss with Ogi and gets on the case. Ogi is such a great, probably the closest thing, aside from maybe Gaian, to an antagonist in the Monogatari series. Well, granted, there are the Kizu dudes, so maybe you could say those are better versions, better examples of antagonists in the Monogatari series. But in terms of the series as a whole, someone who encapsulates all the ideas that it's working with, and who is, definitely the best antagonist in the series, you gotta go Ogi. And we've also got, from the Monogatari series, Shinobu, who is the vampire that Araragi gives up his life for. And it's revealed in Kizumonogatari, which is essentially a book with and also a series of 3 films, with the theme of suicide. Suicide is the main theme of the film, and we learn that Shinobu, also wants to die, would also, basically feared death at the last minute, but then was so she did it to kill herself, right? But she feared dying and so was crying out, and then saw Araragi and was so moved by him fucking saving himself, or rather killing himself for her sake, that she, instead of killing off Araragi, which she absolutely could have done, she instead comes back at a fraction of the power, gets all of her vampire power back, and then wants to use it to have Araragi kill her and thereby remove his vampire abilities and make him back into a human. And it's very, very heart-wrenching, very, very emotionally powerful. And even discounting all that, which is so fascinating, Shinobu's personality is just very fun. She's very haughty, very combative, a fucking brat, loves donuts. There are so many great Shinobu moments. The clip of her needing to be on the throne in Tsuki Monogatari because she needs power, hates it when she's bested in fights. She's really just a treat of a character. Next, we have Yui Hirasawa from K-On!, which is a show that I haven't seen in like 4 years, and I only watched the first season because I'm some sort of heathen or something, IDK. I need to watch K-On! Season 2, and also need to rewatch the first season. But Yui is basically useless. Her entire thing is that she is completely and utterly inept at everything, while also simultaneously being kind of a savant in a way. When it comes to picking up the guitar instantly while, forgetting everything else except for that. Because her head is just empty. Or rather, it can only contain one thing at a time. And if it doesn't contain... If it contains more than one thing, something's gotta go. And so, she's just got a very fun personality, very fun to see on screen. But, once again, it's been a while since I've seen K-On!, right? Next we have Itsuki Hashima from Imotose Irabai, and I think this is the pick that most people will be surprised by, because Imotose is not a very well-regarded series. It has a 71%, or no, I think straight 70 on AniList, either 70 or 71 on AniList, like barely cracking a 7.2 or 7.3 on Mal. It's not very well loved. It's very fan service laden. It's not very well animated, but my god, I will absolutely go to bat for this season, for this series. I've seen it thrice, and I've even read the first 6 volumes of the light novel in full. Genuinely, I own the first one and want to buy more. It's genuinely a phenomenal series in a lot of regards, right? I'd give it like a 9 out of 10. And Itsuki Hashima is a large part of that, because he is essentially, I'm not sure if you could necessarily diagnose him as a narcissist, but he has a lot of those tendencies where he constantly talks himself up, is constantly, putting on airs and saying, I'm the best, I'm the greatest. But, although he appears like that, in actuality, it's solely something to cover up a very deep insecurity in himself. And, it's a very authentic portrayal of a person, I feel, where, Imotose Irabai, one of the appeals of it is that its characters are so ridiculous, but it somehow manages to ground them all. And Itsuki Hashima's no exception, where you do begin to understand why people would hang around him, because people know he's full of shit. People know he's just saying stuff. People know that, he's not actually an insufferable dickbag. He just he has issues. He has personal shit he needs to work through. There's this through line in Imotose. I'm talking about the series as a whole, but where everyone is everyone feels inferior to everyone else because everyone else has what they want. And because they don't have what they want, they, feel inferior for it. They think, I wasn't able to get that. It's not even, sometimes it can manifest as jealousy, but for the characters in Imoto Sei, more often than not, it manifests as self-loathing and not feeling secure in yourself. And for Itsuki, it's this idea that Nayuta Kani is a genius writer. She is revered by everyone, but he is not a genius writer. He is a very middle of the road author in a lot of ways, right? And furthermore, he's not popular like Haruto Fuwa. He is, once again, very middling. He is, basically begging for scraps for a significant portion of the series. And we see this in all the other characters as well, where, God, I can't stop myself from talking about Imoto Sei as a whole. Miyako doesn't know what she wants to do with her life, but feels inferior because the people around her do. Haruto Fuwa feels inferior because Itsuki and Nayuta are genius writers in his eyes, whereas he makes a very commercial product, something that was designed to get popular, something that has all the most famous and popular tropes. He makes isekai light novel garbage, and he feels inferior for it, but then has this coming to Jesus moment where it's like, my taste is shit, and I know that, and I'm writing shit, but that I don't care because I like this stuff, which means that Haruto Fuwa has the worst taste in fiction imaginable, but at the same time, it is very commendable the way he goes about it, and goes about, finding value in himself. Imoto Sei is the most underrated series of all fucking time, and I will make a review of it someday, mark my words. You need to watch it, it's so fucking good, everything about it is amazing, fuck you if you disagree, it's incredible, peak fiction. Except for Sangatsu no Lion, which is actually peak fiction, because the next character on the list is Rei Kiriyama from Sangatsu no Lion. Unlike Imoto Sei, which I've had my emotions bottled up with for a long time, I've done podcasts on Sangatsu no Lion that sort of quenched my thirst to talk about it for the time being. Rei Kiriyama, it's another story like Nisio Isin stories, for example, where the characters just have so much stuff going on with them that you just, like, it cannot be properly summarized in this here podcast, whatever the fuck, rant. Rei Kiriyama, he's a very depressed boy, but through people basically forcing him to be friends with them, he learns to open up and become less guarded about his emotions, more, love himself more, become more secure in himself. He has a very intricate and well-crafted backstory. He, has so many struggles throughout the series. It's so hard to fucking... Yeah, I just cannot even go into all of it. There's so much stuff in this series. Sangatsu is dense. And Sangatsu, he was bullied as a kid, ostracized. He had issues with his adoptive family because his parents died. And you really get to understand why he is the way he is. His household was, the people around him in the household, because of the way it was run, they were very jealous of Rei, because he had the shogi skills and they didn't, and when they got demotivated and didn't want to play shogi anymore, their father wasn't there to pick them back up, and so they resented Rei, which made him feel guilty for existing, essentially, and that lives with him. And he has to overcome that and, face everyone around him just basically screaming at him, you have value! You have something to offer to the world, right? You don't have to feel guilty every time you beat someone in shogi. And there's just so much kinography to go into, but not enough time to go into it all. Watch Sangatsu no Lion. And then finally, we have the newest addition to the fave characters list. E from Zaregoto, and this might change with time, but at least for the first 2 volumes, I think it is fair to say that he is dense as fuck, like densely written. Basically, his whole hangup is that he is extremely apathetic. He cannot feel emotions a lot of the time. He is not completely apathetic. He at times does feel things, and he isn't happy when people die. But at the same time, it doesn't affect him nearly as much as you'd think. The only person he is convinced that he would be devastated if they died is Tomo, who is thankfully not dead in the series. Thankfully for him, at the very least. And, he's basically the living embodiment of the idea that you can't just stop feeling negative emotions. You can only stop feeling emotion as a whole, right? Your brain is physically incapable, and this is like backed up with science, right? Your brain is physically incapable of selecting what emotions it wants to feel. Instead, think of it like a bar that you raise or lower, and if an emotion meets that bar, you register it cognitively in your mind and start to feel it as an emotion. And if you raise the bar, all of a sudden it takes more emotion to get to the point where it's painful. And also to the point where it's joyful. And that's what makes not being apathetic so difficult, because the behaviors that make you apathetic, in E's case, it seems to be a protection mechanism, right? A mechanism to protect himself from all the horror that he goes through on a regular basis and all the self-loathing he has bottled up. And he uses that to, protect himself from the pain he experiences. But if he were to ever open up again, he would have to feel all that pain again. He'd be depressed as shit. E used to be suicidal, but now is at the point where he doesn't feel anything. He should kill himself, in his eyes at least, but he sticks around. He's the most pathetic person in the world in his eyes. He's a psychopath. He's the absolute worst. But he sticks around because he's numbed himself to the pain. And that, to me, is one of the most tragic characters in fiction in a lot of ways. And the way it's discussed is very, it feels very powerful, right? E is at the point where he's convinced that he could kill himself with his own, not kill himself rather, but kill other people. He thinks that he has the capacity for murder. And back in the day, he did cause someone a lot of pain, namely Tomo Kunagisa. It's not clear what he did just yet where I am in the story, but it's clear that he did something very, very bad, and that he probably doesn't feel as guilty as he should, because he's gotten to the point where he just feels nothing, and he is further, he goes further and further down the spiral, while at the same time feeling none of its effects, because he's just numbed himself to that degree. And to basically, once again, I do connect with apathetic characters, because I've had moments in my life where I've battled that. I battle it quite frequently, these fucking fits of apathy where you just feel nothing, because your mental health has degraded to a point where, as a defense mechanism, your brain just kicks in and says, alright, you don't feel anything. Or maybe you've spent too long on the Twitter and the YouTube, and your dopamine receptors are completely fucking shot, and so you don't feel anything at all, right? You don't feel any motivation, you're just existing. And on the one hand, there is something liberating about it, where you get to the point where everything is equally boring, so therefore you can do work, and it's just as, tolerable as play. But on the other hand, life loses all its spice, and you really want the best for E when you read Zaragoto. That was an ungodly long rant. I wanted this to be more like 8 minutes. It's probably my Audacity says it's been going for 54 minutes, so I think this might be the longest rant ever. God fucking damn, I'll have to check it out. But my throat is killing me. I've been talking for way too goddamn long. Thank you if you listened to all this. And thanks for recommending this rant, KD Pack, Rufus, Anime Guru. And with that, see ya.